Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Metal video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at, basically we're going to be taking a look at the Vegeta, or the 5th stage, of the Spectacular Magnificent event. So basically this is going to be the Spectacular Magnificent event, and honestly speaking, it is a pretty, I want to say a pretty straightforward event. Like, I think it's pretty good, but it is pretty straightforward. So basically, the premise is quite simple. You have two phases here. We have the first one against Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, which is great. So Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. We then have the second phase against Super Saiyan Blue Evolved Vegeta. Both phases are immune to stunning, immune to sealing, immune to attack lowering, and immune to defense lowering. Vegeta in the first phase will stun us. Vegeta in the second phase will essentially give us massive amounts of defense lowering, which is pretty imperative. We have an AGL type Vegeta, then we have a tech type Vegeta. So we need to kind of build our way around these things, and obviously try and focus and just kind of like, you know, strategically build past a lot of these things. Now, of course, one of the best teams for this is going to be Universe 6. And why is Universe 6 going to be so good? Well, because Universe 6 not only has a ton of buffs against, for example, like, Saiyans, it also has a ton of buffs against Universal Survival Saga. So, for example, Tech Caulifla, she can't be hit basically by Vegeta, which is something that's always pretty helpful when you're taking on an event. So Tech Caulifla can't be hit. This is something that's incredibly helpful, really awesome. Then of course, on top of that as well, we have Strength Kale, also incredibly good, has guard, but also will fire like 18 super attacks a turn, which helps her stack her defense. She basically acts like a mini Tech Gohan. Then we have AGL Kale, and we have the ability to use one of my favorite units in the game, the Strength Kefla. So Strength Kefla, really awesome, like amazing unit. I think, honestly, personally speaking, one of my favorite units in the game. Huge volume damage dealer, like absolutely insane levels of damage, which is great, of course. And she's just insane. She's like really top notch. She does huge volumes of damage, which I think is amazing. And bear in mind, also we have one of the best supports in the game, Int Vardos. Now Vardos will take some damage if she gets caught, but between her evasion and floating and kind of just keeping out of harm's way, we should technically be fine. The same with AGL Kale. There is a brief window in the beginning where she is going to potentially take some damage, of course. But to be honest with you, she will be more than fine. Like, eventually she'll be more than fine. She'll gain a ton of buffs, and then she'll be sorted. So she'll have her guard active, she'll gain her defensive buff, she'll gain her damage reduction, and she'll be more than fine. So at that point we have an incredibly powerful team, and I think, you know, it's very, I don't want to say difficult, but it's very clear at that point that then yes, we are, you know, pretty much aces for away. Now, of course, there is stacking because it's a two-phase event, and I will say Vegeta doesn't seem insanely broken, like defensively. I do think it is very possible that players will, how can I say, like, finish the event before they're able to really stack super duper high. So don't focus on any stacking or anything. I mean, obviously, if your units stack, it's always great. But Vegeta does start out pretty tough and then just kind of remains tough as well. So it's not really something I would say you want to focus in on too heavily. Yeah, I would say don't focus in on it too much. Don't like divest yourself too much for it. You know, just kind of do your thing, really. So yeah, but other than that, you know, I think this team, you know, works very well. I think it has pretty much everything you need once it gets going, and I think the number of buffs that it has against, you know, like against the Saiyans and Universal Survival Saga and everything like that, Yeah, I think ultimately is something that weighs heavily in its favor. Like, it really does do a huge chunk of damage. And I think for me, that's definitely something that, I would probably say players need to consider. Because it is really, really huge. And I think ultimately, yeah, for me, I would have to say that there's like a very, very considerable push, um, to have like these units, because I just think, yeah, they just do so well. Like, I just think they ultimately do so well, and they just do an amazing job. So definitely for me, huge points in the favor of this team for how it works and how everything kind of gets facilitated around it. I do think, ultimately there is consideration, that you could obviously do some other teams, but I really think without lack of a better term, I really think the mojo on this team is really good. So I have a really, really good, strong feeling with this one. It performed really, really well. Starts out a little bit slow, and I think that's probably your only caveat, I would say. Like, I think obviously you do start out a tiny bit slow, and I think that can, to a certain degree, affect you. Obviously, I think, players can struggle a little bit with that, which is fine. Yeah, ultimately, I think it's okay to struggle, of course, always. But I do think, looking at, like, Kefla and just how ridiculously insane she is, I mean, she just does huge damage. It's really crazy, like, once the team gets going, and you have such solid defensive security with units like Tech Caulifla floating around, just basically never taking damage. Strength Kale, who, weirdly enough, can do such a good collection of, like, damage. Like, she actually just does an incredibly amazing amount of stuff, which I think is really, really awesome. So yeah, that's all really good. Like, for me, I gotta be honest, really, really nice stuff. So I was very impressed. I will continue to be very, very impressed with this team. I think Universe 6, unironically, is probably one of my favorite teams in the game right now. I just think it's really strong and powerful and just incredibly good. And yeah, I gotta be honest, it's probably one of my top teams. I think it just has everything you need. I think it just really is one of those teams that has such good things going on right now for it. And I think, with the amount of output it has, with the support, the synergy, it's a very limited team, like, for sure. It struggles like with roster options, although you do have some that I haven't used, like Bota Magetta. There's some really good hits and stuff that you can use. But yeah, I would just say this team right now, probably one of my favorites, and so smooth and easy to use. But yeah, that's going to be it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. It's always greatly appreciated. And I will see you guys in the next one. So until then, as always, take care, stay safe, and bye.